When I went through college, I didn't take the traditional path. I wasn't 18 years old trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I was a parent, I had responsibilities, and I had a full-time job. Being an older college student gave me a completely different perspective. And looking back, there are so many different things that I wish somebody would have told me before I started. I'm Sarah Luna, and this is what I learned in college. Here's the first thing that I want to talk about. Your age is not the thing that is holding you back. I think one of the biggest fears adults have about going back to college is feeling like they just don't belong. You look around and see younger students and you start wondering if you're too old or if you missed your opportunity. But what I learned is that age can actually be an advantage. When you're older, you often understand yourself better, and this translates to actually knowing how to convert the information you're learning in college into a form that you'll remember and therefore reproduce on exams and in real life. When you understand yourself better, you actually know why you're there. There are so many younger students that are only in college because their parents want them to be, not because they want to be. And you also see a lot of younger students that want to be in college, but they don't know what they want to study. See, when you're older, you probably have more of a grasp of what you want to learn and why. And if you don't, you'll have an easier time learning before you graduate. In my opinion. Being an older student means you have life experience that helps you connect ideas differently than younger students who don't have the same experiences. You're not just going through school because someone told you to. You're going through school because you told yourself to. And that comes with a completely different attitude, and you have a completely different outcome. See, you're making an intentional choice. And there's something very awesome about intentionally choosing to change your future for the better. Here's the next thing that I want to mention. Your past experiences are an advantage. A lot of adult students don't realize just how much value they bring to the classroom. Your previous jobs, your challenges, and your life experiences all shape how you learn and interpret the information that you're learning in college. In turn, you may understand some concepts differently than most because you've seen how they apply in the real world. This is the connector that so many professors wish their students already had, and you have it. So yeah, you might be the oldest student in the room, but you're also the most experienced. Go ahead and shamelessly use this to your advantage. I hate to say it, but there are going to be some moments where you want to quit. Going back to school is not always inspiring and exciting. There are going to be moments where you're exhausted, overwhelmed, and wondering if it's all going to be worth it. Those moments do not mean that you made the wrong choice. Actually, it means that you're pushing past your comfort zone. Moments like these mean that you're doing something difficult. And I want to commend you for staying with it even when it gets hard. One way that you can keep yourself from quitting prematurely is asking for help when you need it. Asking for help can be difficult, especially when you want to prove that you can do this even as an older student. But really, nobody cares about that ego stuff, okay? You need help and you need to ask for it sooner rather than later. I don't care what type of job you have or what type of major you're studying or whatever. Everybody needs help sometimes. Do not be afraid to ask for it. Do not have so much pride that you forget that you're a college student too, just like everybody else at the school, and every single student throughout their 4-year journey is gonna need help at some point. So swallow your pride, quit with all that ego stuff, okay, and go ask somebody for some help. Whether it's tutoring or advising, or like we were talking about earlier, communicating with your professors about something. Maybe it's financial aid that you're in need of, or help with food or housing. There is help out there for whatever it is that you need. There are resources, I promise. You just have to get in touch with the right people. So, I want you to remember something as we move forward. The people that succeed in college, they're not always just the people that struggle the least, mommy and daddy's money, etc. It's not always those people who succeed. They're often the people who just know how to find help. The people that just know how to find support. I can count on both hands how many times I had to reach out for some sort of assistance or help throughout my college journey. And no, it doesn't always feel good to need help. Sometimes it's embarrassing. I will agree with you on that. Like, if you're low income, sometimes that can be a little embarrassing to have to reach out for help on that. But I promise you, nobody cares. Okay? Everybody just wants to see you succeed. The faculty, that's what they're there for. Okay? They're there for students in crisis or in need, and just reach out. Okay? Don't hesitate to reach out, guys. Now, here is the last thing that I want to talk about in this video. Nobody talks about this part, but finishing college changed how I saw myself. The biggest thing college gave me wasn't just a degree. It gave me proof that I could commit to something challenging and finish it. That I wasn't just a quitter. I was someone that could do hard things. And when you accomplish something that you once thought was impossible, it changes the way you see yourself. Because of financial burdens and other reasons, I thought that I would never graduate. At some points during my journey, I seriously did. I was like, hey, how in the world am I going to afford this? But then when I changed my mindset and I kept pushing for the goal no matter what, I didn't let fear convince me that my opportunity had passed me by. I just kept going and just kept trying, and I finally did it, guys. I finally graduated. So if I can do it, you can too. If you're an older student or an older person that wants to go back to school and you feel like your opportunity has passed you by, don't throw in the towel just yet. Don't let fear convince you not to chase your dreams. Remember, you're not too old to go to school. I recently saw someone who was in their 60s graduate and walk the stage with a bachelor's degree. Let that story inspire you to do it for yourself. If this video helped you out, consider hitting that like button. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next upload. Thanks for tuning in, navigators. I'll see you in the next one.